What's going on, George Mason University? Welcome back inside the Pressbox. I'm Nathan LaPierre.
And I'm Matt Newman.
And today, we'd like to do our very own Pressbox edition of the hashtag NBA rank.
Yes, don't sue us for that, ESPN. It's our own specific hashtag.
It's just two words, NBA and rank.
Yes.
So, first of all, I think you got to always start with the top five, discuss who's the best in the game, and I think we have some pretty similar thoughts.
Yes.
So I had first LeBron. I think he's still not, even though he hasn't won the MVP the last 2 years, it's still not quite time to say he doesn't have the crown anymore. He's still the biggest difference maker.
Yeah, I feel like anyone who has to win the MVP has to win it from LeBron.
Right,
if that makes sense.
It's always an upset if he doesn't win.
Yeah.
A few years down the road, you never know. All right, second, we both have Steph Curry.
Yes, coming off a fantastic year last year and continuing his success this year.
Very hot start this year.
Yeah.
He's been the best this year so far, too.
Yeah.
Now, we are 3 through 5. We both have KD, Westbrook, and Davis, but we have a little difference in the ordering. So I have Durant, and then Westbrook, and then Davis.
Yeah, whereas I have Davis and then Kevin Durant and Westbrook in that order. I personally put Anthony Davis there. I think he's going to be the breakout star of the future. Like, all of those people that we've talked about are established superstars, whereas Anthony Davis is an established superstar, but I think he is still rising. Whereas I think Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook are still getting better, but not at the same level of Anthony Davis.
Yeah, Davis certainly last year he had an incredible year, and he certainly has the potential to pass them. I don't think he will get there this year, and I haven't seen it yet. Of course, I have a little bit of bias having seen the Pelicans so far, and they haven't looked good. So until he's really able to elevate that team, I'm not quite ready to put him there, but he's on the rise, and I wouldn't be surprised. I actually had to have a little bit of debate of who should be ahead between KD and Westbrook.
That's a very good point. Man.
You really see Westbrook starting to take over games. He's the ones getting the headlines. Obviously, you can't let those sway you, but I mean, he can do everything. He's a freak athlete. I mean, he's a LeBron level athlete. He's just a little shorter.
Yeah, the shorter LeBron.
Yeah, so it's tough to say, but I'll still give KD the crown for now.
I mean, you could say that. I mean,
Durant's
a freak athlete too.
It could go either way.
To have that size and that sort of skill is pretty much unheard of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not that tall with that ability level.
Yeah.
But I think maybe you might be able to say Westbrook is a better defender than Durant.
But he also turns it over more, which is the one. If he cut down on that, I think he'd pass Durant. He's an amazing athlete.
Yeah.
He's really a LeBron level athlete.
And he also has that drive,
Yeah.
I mean, Durant, Durant is definitely a great player, but I don't know if he has the same sort of the passion.
He's the servant.
He
started to show it a little more.
He's the Durantula to me.
But he's also the servant.
Yes.
All right, so outside of the top 5, I think we have our own rising star here in D.C. that we want to talk about, John Wall.
Of course.
Now, I believe ESPN ranked him 11th.
Yeah, that's also where I rank him. I think that's a pretty... At this point in his career, he's still on the rise. I think he has the potential to get up there, but I don't know if he'll ever crack the top 5, to be honest. Even though he is a fantastic player.
Hey, we'll see.
Yeah.
You never know. He's still the amazing thing is he's still only 25, and you don't really think of NBA players being in their prime when they're like 28 or so, something like that.
Yeah.
So he's still on the rise. You never know, and he's an incredible defender too. He's added that to his repertoire.
Yeah, and what I think about this best about him is how good he is as like a natural point guard in like the passing department.
Yeah, great passer.
Steph Curry is obviously a better shooter than John Wall, but I would say John Wall's a better floor general, passing.
Yeah, Wall's never going to have. He doesn't have Steph Curry's natural shooting touch, but he is a great pure point guard. He's a leader of the team. I have him ranked in the 10 to 15 range. I'm going to give a little range there. I think that's about right for him, and I say he's the 4th best point guard now behind Steph Curry, Westbrook, and Chris Paul. And I'll give him a little edge over Kyrie and Damian Lillard for his defense.
I agree.
So speaking of CP3, that's another interesting discussion you have there, whether CP3 or Blake Griffin is even the best player on the Clippers. That's an interesting discussion, and you have some strong opinions.
Yes. I mean, I've always thought that Blake Griffin is very overhyped. I don't think he has that desire to win. I feel like he has the desire to show people up more than he has to win. Like, you always see him getting his great dunks and, these highlight reels. Like, he's the reason behind Lob City. I get all that. But when Chris Paul plays, he gets, like, the characteristic of, like, oh, he's dirty. And to some extent that might be a little bit true. But I see it more as him. He will do whatever it takes to win. And I value that more than any highlight level dunk. So I have Chris Paul being like top 10, 15, probably like in like the top 10 range, and I have Chris Paul maybe like 20th. Excuse me, Blake Griffin like 20th.
Yeah, I disagree. I think Blake Griffin, he has. You're right. He loves the showboating dunks. So does LeBron. I think he still has the passion to win, but I think sometimes his demeanor when he's not flushing the ball down the hoop, you don't see it as much.
Yeah.
But he gives teams problems. I mean, there's not many people that size that are that athletic. And you look at some great teams like the Spurs, they just have problems guarding him. I mean, it's a really a matchup. You can't put a center on him because they're not fast enough. A lot of power forwards can't handle his pure power. Yeah. So it's a difficult matchup. He makes a big difference for that team. I have him about 10th. I'm going to rank him in the same range as John Wall, maybe a little higher. CP3 I have 7th. I think he is the prototypical point guard. Yeah. Just very good in all aspects. Mm-hmm. And that's still, even though I think Steph Curry and Russell Westbrook have passed him, I think he's still the model for what you want a point guard to be.
Yeah.
So I gave Chris Paul 7th, like I said, and the specific reason I moved him back to 7th is because I put James Harden 6th.
Yeah, okay.
That's another interesting guy to discuss there, the beard.
Yeah, beard.
He makes a huge difference for that team. The Rockets would not be anywhere near where they are without James Harden. So in terms of singular difference for his team, I think he's one of the biggest impact players in the league.
I mean, he's definitely one of the best scorers in the league.
Great scorer.
I put him at 7th. I still don't know why he left the Thunder. I know he wanted the money, he wanted to be his own star, but they could have won multiple championships. Whatever, that's neither here nor there.
He wanted to be a star. He is now.
I mean, he is a star, but at the cost of not maybe,
The Rockets need more talent. It can't just be him and Dwight Howard.
No. I mean, okay, Dwight Howard is not like an elite level.
He's not elite anymore, but he's a good center.
Yeah. So I agree with you. They need more around him. But on a team that is, I don't think we'll ever win a championship if it's just them. He is a very fantastic player and a fantastic scorer. Maybe one of the best scorers in the game. I'd give him that, for sure.
He certainly is, but he does a lot of other things too.
Yeah.
Speaking of championships, want to talk about a man with a lot of rings, who is also not going to be winning any rings anytime soon, and that's
probably never again.
That's Kobe Bryant, and we discussed earlier that we think it's probably his last year.
Yeah.
So as you know, I've kind of always been a little sour in terms of the rankings on Kobe, and I'm gonna rank him about 100th. And I know that sounds like sacrilegious, and sure, maybe I'm biased a little bit by this year, but I think you have a guy who's in his 20th year. Yeah. He's had a lot of injuries, not shooting well. You're just not seeing the same Kobe anymore. I think it'll be his last year. I think he's going to have. You're starting to see a little bit of this. He's starting to enjoy playing the game, and that's when a lot of guys retire. I say 100th because there's 30 teams. I estimate on an average team, not a terrible team like the Lakers, but on an average team, he might be about the 3rd or 4th best player. Yeah. So I'm going to say around 100th. I know it sounds like sacrilege, but that's what I believe.
I'm going to put him higher than that. I'm going to put him in like the top 40 to 50 range, because I think that if he was on a better team, like say Kobe was on the Spurs, you're right, he's not going to be like the top 2 or 3 players on that team, but that would mean that he wouldn't have all the attention on him all the time. He'd be able to go out there, get his points. He'd be able to play well without having to be the face of the franchise, because, Lord knows, Swaggy P ain't going to be the face of any franchise.
Swaggy P.
Swaggy P. No.
No. Glad we got rid of him.
Yes. So I think Kobe, if he was on a better team, he would be a lot better. I mean that's true of any player, but I think especially him at this point in his career, there's a reason why when you get older, you're not the face of the franchise anymore.
Yeah. I think he's an instance of overhyping. Speaking of overhype.
Okay. I think now he's overhyped. Early in his career, he deserved the hype.
And absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything about his career, but right now, I just don't think he's one of the best players.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Spurs, and that's interesting because we have a little bit of discrepancy on Tim Duncan. Now, Tim Duncan, again, amazing career, arguably top 10 of all time. Right now, and off air, I said he was definitely in the top 50, and you were...
I was offended. I was offended for you, Tim Duncan.
You were appalled
Tim Duncan
by
and your family. I know you're watching this, and I know you're very offended at Nathan too. I had you top 20. Tim, I really believe in you.
And I said I think you were appalled by me even saying 50, but I'm saying he was definitely in the top 50. I would rank him somewhere in the 30s, I think. He's still a very good center. Again, he's not going to be the centerpiece of a franchise anymore. But you're right. He's very efficient. He's a leader, which is an important quality for a teammate. He's a very good defender. He just does everything very well.
Yeah.
But he's not one of the stars. I think if you're in the top 20, you're really a star. And having Duncan about 20th and Blake Griffin about 20th, I don't think that's right because Blake Griffin is really, can carry the team. And Tim usually is not going to carry the team anymore.
I'll concede that to you. I think Blake Griffin could be, carry the team more.
Right.
But I think if you put Blake Griffin onto basically any team out there, he transforms. He steps them up to another level, not in terms of his own personal play, but in what he means to a franchise. His ability. He's a great leader out there, a great defensive presence, an efficient offensive presence.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to give him the ball every single time for him to be a great, to be a scorer, to get his points, to get his rebounds, get his blocks. I think that he just transforms teams from something that they're not. If you were if you were trying to make that next step, I think the person you would want to bring in would be Tim Duncan.
Right, but I think part of it is he's never had to be brought in anywhere. I think part of this is we're considering he's on a great team, in a great system, with an amazing coach. That's not to take away from him at all, because the reason that franchise is so good is because of Tim Duncan. Because of Tim Duncan. But at this point, it's still his team in terms of the intangibles, but the best player is now Kawhi Leonard. And I think the second best, once he adapts, is going to be LaMarcus Aldridge. So, but certainly Duncan's still a very good player, and that's why I have him in the 30s. Apologies to the Duncan family. Apologies to the P family. Swaggy P. We don't want you here anymore, but...
No.
No.
Yes. Well, as you can see, this generated quite an emotional response for myself and Nathan. So we'd love to hear more from our viewers at home. Who you would put in your top 5, or a player that you think deserves some consideration for being a top 10 elite level talent in the NBA. But as for now, that's all the time we have here on the Press Box. I'm Matt Newman.
And I'm Nathan LaPierre.
Press on, George Mason. Press on. For you, Tim!